And welcome everybody to episode 8. I'm your host, Marcus, alongside Sean. And today we got a special guest for you guys. She's a coach, she's a host, she's an influencer, and she likes to remind humans that we are all human. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Angela Vasquez. How you doing, Angela?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Today's topic, we wanted to talk about finding your superpower. We thought you would be a great fit to come on with all your experience in helping people, and give us your thoughts and ideas about it.
I mean, are you asking now?
Yeah. Sorry if I'm all rigid. You can't.
Oh my goodness.
Laugh off the nerves. It's okay.
Yes. Definitely. Okay. So, my name is Angela, and to remind humans we're all human really is just it's just a reminder to myself that just to be you, just to be okay with who you are, and not to not to be so worried about what other people think, and just to get comfortable in your own skin, and to remind yourself that you're a human being. You're a beautiful human being with your flaws and imperfections and failures, and that's what makes you so beautiful as a human, is that we're not perfect, and it's okay.
Yes, I agree. Definitely a work in motion, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
With the title, what would you consider a superpower?
What would I?
You are Marcus. Ladies first. Never worry about Marcus.
I mean, I have the to remind humans we're all human, which I have these 5, which I believe are 5 superhuman reminders, which I believe are just real simple little ways to remind myself and others that, to be the best human that you can possibly be is just to be mindful of these 5 little supers, I call them, which is listening, loving, lending, learning, and leading. And I believe that those are can be super powerful in your everyday life and everyday way that you are communicating with others and things like that. But I believe that our superpower is really what makes us unique, is what we're born with, that innate quality about ourselves that's unique about us, that there may be, that special thing that's inside of us that drives us and, sort of gets us going. That's very special, that we oftentimes, I think we dismiss, these things because it hasn't been tapped into. But I think it's a unique quality about ourselves that is our superpower.
Yeah. Definitely. If you can go over those 5 things, I thought those 5 things were very important. You said listening, loving,
lending. Yeah. But I think I can hardly hear you. So maybe if you turn your volume up just a little. Thank you. A little better. Yes. Yeah. So listening is the first one. We talk about that on, to remind humans, listening, the importance of listening. I mean, when you think about, no one really ever taught me how to listen, through our life. I think we're told how to listen. We were told as a small child, and started just think about elementary school and kindergarten, this is what listen to this, you stand here, read this book, do this, do that, but not really ever taught really how to listen. And then loving, I think that's a really important one that we all have. It's inside of us. We desire it. We want it. It's an action too, right? We share love, we give love. And oftentimes we don't really believe in love, because we've been hurt so much around the idea of love. Self-love. I mean, there's, and even being taught the true meaning of love. And really, I think that's really important. And to be lovable, oftentimes people don't feel that they're lovable or worthy of love. And I think it's just a good reminder that, you are lovable and worthy of love, just like anybody else is. And then another one is lend, which is, I always say, like, it's not the most sexy of the 5 superhuman reminders, but it's an important one because lending is it's really, you're doing that here by serving, by sharing your gifts or your talents or your resources in a way that truly adds value to others. Spending, quality time, that could be a way to lend, and just serving people. And then learning is, to have a coachable, teachable spirit. Humans are always constantly learning and growing, and I think that's an important reminder for us to always be teachable, to have a teachable mindset, a coachable mindset. And then leading, which is, that's kind of the one where I think that as a leader, we all influence someone. And I think a leader is someone that it influences, whether it's your family, your children, the people you work with, the people that you surround yourself with, or the people that that you're influenced, that you're leading. I think that's a really important one, to really understand what does that truly look like, as what is a leader, and how to really truly lead. I think that's important. So those are the 5 superhuman reminders that I sort of made up, but they're important to me. And I think they're really good, simple reminders for others to live by.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I like the fact that when you said loving, I guess love is sometimes we get caught up in just the emotional part of it, but it's an emotion and action. So you got to feel and do, So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of those are good, like definitions of what a superpower could be, right? And even like for me, like understanding, would you define like a superpower as being your strength or something that helps pull you through maybe difficult times or struggles, or what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, because I think, again, I think your superpower is what makes you you. I think that is your power is you. You're your power, and where you draw that power from, whether it's God or whatever whatever motivates you, I guess. But you are the superpower, and or you're the superhuman. And your power is how you serve best. I think your best self is your
yeah, and I agree. I
superpower.
think some of our things is that we think the things that we do are boring or not as important. Like one thing I had to really realize, just myself, is my superpower is consistency. I'm consistent, and I'm going to be disciplined, and that gets me over with a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I hear a lot of people when they're looking for a talent, they're like, I don't know what I'm good at. One of the things is they're kind of like scared to fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scared to fail. I know it's getting off topic, but like I was just talking to someone recently, and that's the biggest thing. It's just people don't do sometimes just because they're scared to fail and what others may say if they don't succeed at what they started to do. And sometimes we go on a path and we don't really know what that path is going to lead us, but we won't ever get anywhere if we don't start. We'll just be stuck in thinking about it all the time.
Yeah,
So
I was thinking about the same thing too. I was thinking about what's my superpower, and like you defined it, and Angela's defined it as being your own unique thing. And I kind of thought about that idea that it was a consistency, but then I looked a little bit deeper, right? As opposed to just saying, yeah, it must be the consistency. And it was more like, well, it might be the grit, because going through a lot of difficulties in life and stuff, right? And overcoming adversity, right? I think is one of my better qualities. And knowing, like you said, like no matter what, you're prepared to fail, but try to fail forward, right? When you're trying to become the best version of yourself ultimately.
It's funny you said it. It's one of those things where the discipline and the consistency builds you up to the resilience and the resistance, so you can deal with things. You know what I mean? Some people, they just haven't allowed themselves to be built up. They're so scared to feel. They're scared to fail. They're scared of what people may say, and they're just scared to just feel. Honestly, nobody wants to just feel like, hey, it's not working. You know what I mean? Or going through a bad situation. Like it's rough. But then, to be transparent, that's what I always do try to do. I try to be. I'm genuine with people, and I tell them like, look, man, yeah, I go through things at times. Just the difference is like, it's the more, if I go through something now, I'm always thinking to the next level because I know I'm going to get through it. I know that. Do I always? Who wants to go through stuff? Let's be honest. Like, I know people who wants to do that. Like, I know I don't, but the thing is, those are the things that build character, and those are the things that help us help other people, I believe.
Yeah, I think what I mean, definitely, like when I first started going live, that was, it's almost like for me, it's been, what is the cause, right? Like, what is your why, right? We talk about that a lot. What is you have something inside of you that wants to, if you didn't have something inside of you that wants to do something great, then you wouldn't have the fear, right? So you've got the fear because of something. So where does the fear, what is that coming from? What is that thing? What is the fear blocking? So if you've got something that's in there, let's talk about what that is. And let's not talk about, y'all talk about the fear, but so that cause has to be greater than the fear. And so, so going live for me, it was, okay, click the button, come out, click the button, come out. I mean, and I still do it, but it's because in my heart, I'm like, no, this isn't for me any longer. This isn't for me, right? I want to do this to serve, to give back. And this is the way that I'm doing it right now. And I believe that that's, as long as we're contributing, that drive will, it'll sort of, kick into overdrive. Like I can do this. And you have to experience the pain and the fear. I think it's almost like, that's where you get your momentum, is once you experience the thing, right? Then you feel that, and then you say, okay, because the comfort zone is, we talk about getting out of your comfort zone. Well, fortunately, I mean, you can go back into your comfort zone. You don't have to completely come out of it. I mean, you can go back to it. It's like our house is a safe place. And when you come back to that, it's a safe place for you. So you can come back to that and sort of regroup and equip yourself, and then go back out again. And but you will fail. And I think that it's not going to be perfect, but you have to be okay with it not being perfect, and knowing that the next time you do it, it won't be perfect either. And that's what makes us human beings, is the imperfection. And I think that's been really helpful to me, sort of being more aware of that. Well, am I going to do this, or am I going to be in the same place where I am today in 5 years from now? Or do I want to be different? Do I really believe what I believe about the cause to serve? And I do. And so that helps encourage me to break through it, no matter what it looks like or sounds like.
Yeah, I agree. Like me and Marcus, we always talk about just surrounding yourself with those people who kind of like get it. Those, for me, that helps recharge me, because if you're always just giving, after a while, man, all the doubt, everything can sink in, and you're looking at yourself like, man, is this even worth it? But then when you get around some people who are doing this, they get it. They get it. They understand, like you said, you will fail. But when you're saying fail, it's not even negative in a sense. You understand, it's just a lesson. I seen how this didn't work, so now I'm gonna work it this way. That's how I always look at things, just to keep going. Like me and Marcus, I think that's what me and Marcus really click at, as far as one of the things is just that we get it. We get it.
Well, I think that comes back to what Angela was saying too, right? Is the fact that, it's being okay with not being perfect. And I think that is one of the hardest things to get over. right? Because you always feel, again, it can go back to the imposter syndrome and talk about, well, I don't feel like it's my place, right? Because again, we assign ourselves with a tag, and everybody asks, well, what do you, who are you? What do you do, right? When you're introduced to somebody, so the first thing you're going to say is, well, I'm blah blah blah, I'm a coach, or I'm fitness trainer, or whatever the case is, right? And so you define yourself through that, and when you start something new, a lot of things I talk about too, like being curious, right? You have to be okay with imperfection, because when you're going out, yes, it's all going to be new to you, but it is being okay with the failure and realize that you're going to mess up a lot, right? Like I've messed up a lot, and I'm sure all three of us have, messed up a lot to get to where we're at, right? And so it's just being okay. It's just being okay with that, right? But we know we'll eventually get there, and that's where we're at, and doing that and trying, I guess, to try to find your superpower. My question to you, Angela, is like, with the people you've coached, like how have you ever come across anybody that has had that struggle, like trying to find their superpower or find essentially like their purpose or what drives them?
Yes, I love people that are just, starting out and really realizing that they, or haven't even realized that they've got something, but they don't know what it is or how to, I love the people that are just, haven't even really tapped into their potential. I love to encourage them and remind them that they do. And I think that's part of why coaches can be really valuable to people, especially, especially people that are just sort of starting out and have, low confidence and things like that, because they don't believe in themselves. And I mean, I can only share my own experience. And I think that's who my people are, is that the people that, really never felt valuable enough to even, believe in the thoughts that they have around pursuing these things. You're like, oh, that's just my thinking. And nobody's ever told me that my thinking is okay. And so therefore I keep it in. And so there's no, so it's that, yes, I mean, and then that's why the, believing in yourself is so important, but, it's not that easy, right? You can say, oh, believe in yourself, well, great. Okay. But you really need to have people around you that can truly speak truth into you, the truths, because there's a lot of fake, there's a lot of fakeness, but you want genuine people around you. If you have one genuine person that truly cares about you, and that's love, right? Truly cares for you and your future and your well-being, then that is priceless. And that will take you further than 1,000 people that say that they do, but they, where are they when you really could really use some words of affirmation or some real care. And so, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but it's starting just, it starts with believing in yourself. And then once they do, you can start seeing like that spark of like, oh, well, they start sharing, things that inspire them or that they, have interest in. And once they start sharing the things that are interesting to them, that you dig a little bit deeper and discover, oh, well, what is it about that you like? And then you start seeing the human being that, needs to come out, and that is just so sort of stuck because they've never really had anybody ask them questions that has ever shown any interest in them, and what they're interested in.
It's funny you said that. I was thinking that as when Marcus was asking the question, and I really believe that we all have to have people who believe in us. So that's why we believe in other people. And it's funny about when you help another person, you become better over and over. Like that's recharging in itself, right?
So good.
We all have to remember the time when we didn't believe in ourselves as much and somebody else believed in us. That's what I remind myself of all the time. Like even when I started in different entrepreneurship ventures, it's like I remember when somebody said to me, like, you're really good. Yeah. And I was like, I'm okay, I guess.
Yeah, you minimize it, right? It's like, I mean, I've struggled with confidence my whole life. I mean, I have an old boss. They were called bosses back then, but he was an incredible manager, incredible leader, and he gave me the greatest compliment, and I'll never forget it. And this was a long time ago. And he said, told my parents had come to where I was working, and he said, I wish I had 10 of her. And so I'll never forget that held, I wasn't the best like car sales lady or anything. I didn't sell the most cars, I didn't have, I wasn't like, it's hard. I don't think I ever was like top salesperson, but for him to say that, what did that mean? And I think I didn't really get that until years later. I realized, there is something about me that's different. That's probably really different. But until I started placing a value on myself, I didn't really understand what he was saying, and it means a lot to me. But I minimized that for a long time, like, oh, well, why me? What do you mean? And you just question it and you minimize that. And I never shared that with people. I never shared that because it was something that, I was almost like, why would you share that? Because you're just trying to show off, right? So, but as somebody that's really struggled with low self-esteem and confidence for so many years, now finally I can share that and realize, wait, there's a reason that they shared that, because I can see I can see myself. I've had growth. I've had some growth, and I can see I place a higher value on myself than I did a few years ago. And that's hard. That's hard to do. But it's, yeah.
And confidence is a sexy thing. You know what I mean? Honestly, like without putting any kind of neck, but confidence is a real. Sometimes I think people who quote unquote the more humble, we feel bad for even thinking like we're good, right? Like it's one of the things I always say. I do understand I'm an imperfect person, always wanting to get better. So that gives me the balance that I need to like not be too hard on myself, because I have that issue, but also knowing that not making excuses, but also just striving to get better and knowing what you're good at. Because if you don't know what you're good at times, you can't really walk that thing out like you need to. Because you can't really, if you're trying to, you could be giving somebody the best thing in the world, but if you're not confident about it, they're probably not even going to listen to you. Because you're kind of like, they're looking at you like they don't believe in it.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe in yourself, like at times, without those other people we're talking about, how can we expect anybody else to believe what we're saying if we don't fully believe it ourselves? And I think that's the challenge with being in a leadership position, right? Because we all have struggles. That's why.
We're human, just like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So that's all ultimately a thing, and I think that's a big thing too when you're talking about confidence and then trying to, not be cocky, right? Like, there's a big difference there, and I guess everybody that's kind of in that leadership role, like you're saying, does struggle with that. Like, okay, I'm not trying to be cocky, but I need that, like that self-motivation, right? Like I can do it, to push yourself to build that confidence even more.
Yeah, I love that because, and I love what you said, Sean, about confidence is sexy, because that is something that has probably kept me from, like, that has been a real thing for me over the years, is seeing other women and seeing how beautiful they are and how confident they are and how confident they come across, and they're very just beautiful. And I'm just like, it's, I want that, and so, that's so true. And then also just your ego getting in the way, right? It's what is your motive behind your whatever, what is the motive behind it? You're leading with a motive. And if your motive, for me, it's godly. If it's a godly motive, or if it's an intentional, a good motive, then, and you're keeping in mind the responsibility and the well-being of others, that if you're having a right motive, then it most likely will come across.
Yes.
Right. Your ego won't be, leading.
You won't be a douche, like.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, some people, that's just what they are. but they're hiding behind things themselves. I remember when I was working at a gym, and one of the other trainers said to me, he said, "Dude, why do you wear big clothes like that?" My clothes, like I fell off a ladder. I gained a bunch of weight. I was way big. I was 260 pounds. I was wearing 3X clothes, but I no longer should have been wearing 3X clothes. I was in like a large or medium, right? But my clothes are big. And he was like, "Man, why do you wear your clothes so big?" And I'm like, "Man, And it's so weird that once I started buying clothes that fit, people were walking up to me and like, "Man, what did you do?" I had been the same size probably for like, I don't know how long. They just hadn't seen it. My clientele increased. And then I started, and like I tell people, even like the people I train, I say, look, don't let people put you in a box, because sometimes people project a lot. Like even if you're just working out, yeah, it's okay. But if you want to wear a tank top, wear a tank top. You're in the gym all the time. You deserve to wear the tank top.
Yeah.
Wear it and wear it confidently. And then see, because then why I do want to see that a lot of times is that the people that are like that and are genuine, when somebody else walks up to them, they'll help them. It's too many douchebags walking around like, "Oh, look at me," and now they want to show themselves, and they're projecting a different way. But if there are people who work on themselves, and I'm not just talking about like physically, just mentally, whatever, and they're really cool people. But we let sometimes the bad apples get in the way, and because they shine, they project a lot, and we just stay in a little bubble. It's okay. Confidence is sexy. Learning is cool. Knowing that we have gifts is a good thing. It's a lot of things that's good. Not being as confident is a thing that a lot of people struggle with. I've met a lot of, just honestly from a guy's perspective, I've met a lot of women who are very pretty and their confidence is very low. And that's a thing, because they'll meet people that'll notice. That's why we got to watch that confidence thing. They'll meet people and they'll know that have low self-esteem, and they'll beat it more. So gotta believe in ourselves and surround ourselves with good people without too long.
Yeah, and honest people, right? I mean, that's honesty. Is a good one. As a leader, to be honest. You may not know exactly how to get there, but you're going to be honest and say that. There's so many people struggle with I mean, I don't. For me, I'm still working on confidence. I'm still learning about what does it mean to be confident. And I think for me, one of the things for me was I always, low self-esteem, I come from a place of low self-esteem, but I was always very curious and bold and a risk taker, and some other qualities that I have that I'm very grateful for today. So I think because even though I had low self-esteem, maybe a lack of confidence, but I had these other characteristics about me that helped me get to the things that I wanted. And I may have not performed the greatest, but I always seem to, if I want something, I will go for it. And it's almost sometimes it's not even that. I don't even think that it's a good idea, right? Because it's like you don't belong there. You don't. That's not for you. That's you. What are you doing? And so the self-doubt and the limiting beliefs, I love to just play tricks on you. But it's all a matter of just what is the intention? What is the intention behind what you're trying to do? And having a good motive is good. Yeah. It won't steer you wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too is, because you're so new to it, a lot of different spaces, like you may have that initial that why, that desire, that drive to put you to expand out to something else, but it's definitely going into that comfort zone and expanding that new environment, right? I think that's a big thing. And once you get used to that environment, like I think you got to continue to cultivate it if you want to build it. And I think you can always lose that, right? We talked about if you step away from whatever it is that you're trying to build confidence in, if you essentially, neglect it, I think you start losing confidence in that department. And so it's always maintaining. I think a lot of things are maintaining a repetition, right? And not neglecting. allow you to maintain that sense of confidence in whatever it is. And if again low lapse or whatever, for whatever case, right, you're gonna lose that confidence, whatever it is. And I think we have the different levels of confidence in whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
That's
And competence and just practicing it. I think someone mentioned it to me not long ago. Is just practicing. You have to practice. That's a skill. It's a muscle. Do you think that it is? Like it's new for me to even think about that. But do you think it's a muscle that you have to practice confidence?
I think it's reps. I don't know if a muscle, but it's something that you just get used to doing. And then the more that you kind of show, how do you say it? When you're confident, you just keep doing it. Like I'm not saying let me back up. It's repetition. You do it, you believe in yourself, and you keep doing it. You have to believe in yourself though, because if you don't, somebody else can take it from you. Even if you do it, I don't care if you do it. I mean, you do it for 3 years. If you're really not believing it, somebody can beat it out of you. Like they can really just take your confidence and everything. So you got to know why you're special. Like we all have value, especially people. When you have good intentions, we have so much value and so much to give to the world, and we have to know that. But again, I think that's what it's the energy too. Like we have to stay away from certain people also. Like if they're just bad, it's okay to just know that, this person is not the person for me. For whatever the issue is, they may need to be around somebody else. They may need to be by themselves. But I mean, just knowing, like Angela, I'm learning now. Like listening, loving. That's a thing. Like that's a real thing. And knowing to give. I think the more we help, my business grew when I didn't look at numbers anymore. Like when I just looked at, I mean, I guess it was still number. It was more the more people I helped, not how much money I made. When I helped more people, I made more money. Because business is still finances. We know this, right? Like being honest and transparent, but the more people I help, and it's more gratifying. I mean, it's so much, gratifying and just helping somebody and seeing somebody's confidence go from not so sure to totally confident. I mean, and even cocky. I don't care if you cocky. You know what I mean? It's a difference between being cocky and just thinking you're better than people. You know what I mean? You can be better than situations and things. That's a real thing. We have to be careful to not allow people to do that too. I mean, if we've moved along from a situation, we can move along. We can be better than the situation. It's nothing wrong with that.
I love that. So good. It's so good because you're I love that, right? The difference between like cocky and then also setting yourself to a certain standard that you're not going to, you're going to always be raising the bar. And that the influence that you are, you're in your circle of people, like, is, you're only going to, you're not going to be in those places that you used to be in. So you're finding new places to serve and new places and new people to be around because you're not allowing that old way, because you're not you want to always be moving forward and being better and serving better and giving back more. I like that.
And then accepting opposition too, right? Accepting opposition. That's one of the things I'll say this. Like being a trainer and running a fitness business, it has led me to a lot of different other businesses and stuff. But I mean, yeah, is it pressure? Accepting your pressure too, right? Because like what I do struggle with, I will say this: it's feel like I always have to be in shape.
Okay, so now I need to know, like, what's your kryptonite?
As far as
food,
it used to be pizza, right?
Okay.
But now it's not. Like I've learned how to plan my meals better. Like I know when I'm going to eat something and how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to work. But also not letting people put me in a box. But it is pressure. Feel like I said, I feel like I always got to be in shape. That's what I feel like all the time. Maybe that's me, or even honestly, like for everybody who's listening, my client watch. When I look in the mirror, even it's in the gym, I'm not looking like. Sometimes I am like, dang, look, that looks good because what I'm
You
working.
catch yourself and you're like, man, why am I doing that?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
listen, I tell people the mirrors are there for a reason. Watch yourself, watch your form, look at
Yeah.
your improvement. That's like your life. Like look at what you're
Mhm.
doing, and it's okay to pat yourself on the back about it. But on the flip side, I don't see what I think some people think I'm looking at. I'm looking at an imperfection. I'm
Yeah.
looking at heck, like I can increase. I'm thinking about how I can improve. But I think that's the constant battle. But another thing is, I guess we would say too, patting yourself on the back, man. Like just like in the gym, the mirrors are there for a reason. Like look at how far you've come. It's really a
Yeah.
difference between being content and being complacent. You know, you
Mhm.
don't, you can be content and not be complacent. You know, that's a thing. Always wanting to improve. I'm big on that. Like just always expanding who you are.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's important.
Really good. And I don't think we do it enough. We don't give ourselves enough support. I was a cheerleader all through school, and I oftentimes people would say to me, I mean, I've heard it all. Why aren't you more confident? Why aren't you your biggest cheerleader? You got to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm like, all that. And it's so true. You do have to be your biggest cheerleader. That's a real thing. Because oftentimes you're alone doing your thing. And so you need to support yourself and root for yourself, your team, and giving yourself
okay.
accolades, but it's okay. And I never before I would have been like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you, it's so weird. But just giving, and that's again, that being around others that are doing the same thing gives us permission, right? When we see that reflection in the mirror, we see somebody else smiling at themselves or, whatever. Those little things can make a big difference in, that's a child, right? A child is watching their parent. And so everything that we do, they see that. And so they may do the same thing. My kids are complete opposite of me, but they're so much better. But it's true. Like it's when we give ourselves permission to do things that feel a little bit uncomfortable, but are good for us, then that can help us just, stand a little taller, build a little more muscle, and give back and help somebody else do the same thing.
Yeah, and then somebody that sees you, they'll be like, I see you. They know.
Yes.
They're not looking at you in a bad way. The people who are looking at you in a bad way,
yes,
they're not focused on themselves. They have a problem. You know what I mean? Like when, some people, they spend so much time looking at other people only because they don't want to deal with them. So they have their own issues. So I don't worry about them kind of people. They're at war with themselves. So they gotta, in order to feel at peace, they have to start something against somebody else. So those are the people that we can't let project to us. Like that's why it's good to. I try to make my business when I see someone looking good, which is kind of different in society. Like you want to tell them, like, I see you. I mean, you're coming. I see the jobs you're doing, but with the world we live in, sometimes that's weird, I guess.
I love that. That's exactly what the To Remind Humans, like the lives that I do every day. Really, it started out, and it's evolving, but that's the point, right? Is to bring people in to share what they believe, the cause that they have, or the mission that they have, or to come in and share something about themselves, and also share what they're doing, maybe talk about why they do it, but really just to get to know the person behind that. And then saying, and not necessarily like, I want people that are just starting out, because it's real easy for people to have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers that are already successful. They have places to go generally, but people that are just starting out really have nobody to share their dreams and their things with, right? So it's a place for people to come and talk about it, and to say, and for us to say, in the community, say, hey, we do see you, we hear you, and to support them. So many people get lost, because they don't feel like they're what they have to offer is worth anything, that it's not valuable enough. And because we do spend a lot of times, looking at what other people are doing and thinking all these things that keep us, back. But having places to go where you can share and talk about your stuff, I think we need more of that.
Yeah.
Then reminding ourselves, worry about yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I do tell people when anybody, that's kind of messed up. If you come to me and you're talking, first of all, I don't like if you're going to come to me and talk negatively about somebody and you won't talk to them, I don't like it. So I kind of that's a pet peeve of mine. So I'll say things like, worry about yourself.
That's good. That's good advice.
Yeah.
It's good advice because a lot of people don't hear that straight talk, like tough love, right? I think we need more of that too.
Yeah.
Because I think we have, there's a lot of, because there's not a lot of real genuine care, right? If we genuinely care for somebody, we really want the best for them and we're going to be honest. And honesty sometimes it's not all,
It's not the sexy thing, right?
It's not real sexy. Sometimes it's going to be a little tough. And we need more of that. I wish I would have had it more. I wish my parents would have been more. They just weren't around. But there was sort of some neglect and abandonment going on. But I mean, it wasn't horrible. But it was just, I wish I would have had somebody, saying, hey, and I had amazing mentors, later and still do. But it just having somebody to be honest and really give some tough love would have been probably a lot more helpful to me in my years, instead of just people pleasing, oh yeah, a yes person versus an honest person,
I definitely agree. I think that's where it's the balance. Like, I think we got to have both, right? Because I think like I have boys and I have to catch myself sometimes because I think I'm too straightforward sometimes.
I have a 16-year-old. He's learning how to drive right now. And so that's a lot of fun. And I'm teaching him. So, and I love it because I wanted to be a race car driver when I was younger, but I love it. It's so much fun. Yeah. And so I'm like, today I took him in for his in-car. So they drive, I guess, a couple of hours, and so I said, well, did you tell him who's teaching you how to drive? It's like, no, Mom, I didn't tell him. I'm like, okay. But it's, we do have to, especially, these boys, I think too, it's not especially, but I respect that, just being honest and saying straight up, this is the consequence of that. You have to teach the consequences. And I don't think I was really taught consequences. It was just go for it. Just go.
Trial and error.
Count the cost, right? I always say count the cost. I told my boys that as they grow up all the time, I don't tell them what they can't do. I don't usually I tell them you could do whatever you want to do, honestly, but it's just consequences to whatever you do. Like, if you want to, and less guy intervenes, you can get in the building, you can jump off. Right. But if there's no intervention, you might break your arm, you might die, you might lose an eyeball. I mean, you can really do whatever you want. I think we hear that a lot. And that may be how we're programmed. We always hear you can't. No.
Well, I think that's
you can touch the iron if you want to. You will burn the skin off your hands. You know what I mean? Count the cost. Consequences.
I agree with that. I even think a lot of different times, I think at a young age, right, you have that fear that's ingrained in you that Angela did touch on before, that, before you didn't have a worry in the world, and then you grew up in a world where there were, like you were talking about, consequences. So a lot of times you don't give it a second thought, right? Like it comes up and you think, oh, well, I can't be adventurous. I can't steer away because of the fact that, I was taught at such a young age that, you don't kind of push away from the herd kind of thing, right? And do stuff by yourself. You have to come back to what's comfortable, right? The beliefs and stuff by your family, right? Growing up and being able to not be fearful to challenge those things. Right.
I mean, we're taught. I mean, think about school, y'all. I mean, we're given a big F. You failed,
Yeah.
right? So there's no room for failure at such a young age, right? Out of the failure should come lessons, which are amazing. But we were told as a child that you failed, like go back and do it again and make it better. Well, or you just failed. It just has such a negative connotation to failing that I think we believe that it's, we've been ingrained that it's conditioned that it's something, it's not a good thing. And now we're discovering that it is an amazing thing. And this is how a lot of us learn.
Yeah. Well, it's like that thing, we have the multiple intelligences, right? Like that's a real thing. Like a lot more people are more creative, and a lot of people can just read books and take tests, right? And I think we haven't really integrated that into, the education system, stuff like that. And that's a whole other topic, but
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, that's where we learn it from, right?
I think also, like, it's just having that tough skin, because both of you guys touched on it right there. Like, I just thought about it. It's like, okay, what do you do when you quote unquote fail? Because then once you fail, let's be honest, that's when all the doubt kick in. I used to take tests and pass them like nothing. Like, I could just take a test. I was a great test taker until I failed the test.
Yeah. That's all it takes is one.
Yeah. And then it's like I kept second guessing everything I was doing, which I had to revert back to when I had the confidence. I just took them. I didn't doubt myself. I just did it. And that's the thing. It's that it's really easier said than done, but that no fear.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to what we talked about before, right? You have that focal point you can go back to and say, well, I've overcome it. And sometimes you can like reverse engineer, well, what did I do then that was successful that I can apply now? And it may not be perfect, right? But it might get me closer to my goals. And it's just building off of that, right?
We can get there. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, we can get there a lot more efficiently if we have the right people around us. Like, how long it took me to get out of that rut of failing a test? Like, I should have just told somebody, like, look, man, I'm doubting myself. Like, I don't get it. I don't even want to take another test again. You know what I mean? Because I used to hear people talking about they get sweaty palms, and then it started happening to me. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, everything is happening right now, man. Like, and I know, and you'll know that you know the material.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you see it, you're just like, So yeah, definitely. It's once you fail, like you said, back to what worked before, and then also knowing that it's not the end of the world. Like I always say, I tell myself this now, you're not about to die. Like
Life is too short, right? It doesn't matter, right? Might as well get those failures out of the way.
Yeah, you got to fail a lot. You got to take a lot of tests. You got to, try all the things that you want to try. Except you've got to. You just got to go do it. And I think that that's one thing that I've definitely learned in the last year is that you just have to do it. You have to fail. Just expect to fail, and then do it again, and see how it feels, and know what it's like to fail. So you won't be so uncomfortable when you are failing. And so you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And you'll know what it feels like. Yeah, you'll know what it feels like. And then so when you won't freak out because it's just normal. That's just, or whatever normal is, but it's just this is what it feels like. And so you'll have a better idea of how to handle it the next time. I
always tell myself, you're going to learn. Whatever it is, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Because the word felon, I know we're using it, but is it really felon, or you're just learning?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, like we were just talking about, right? It might go back to our education, right? That it doesn't work the way it's quote unquote supposed to, then we fail, right?
Yeah. The people, I feel like you fail when you never try.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate fail. Because that's death. That's death. Because a lot of, they always say, go to graveyards, we see all the dreams. Like a lot of people's dreams, they just never did it.
They died with the music inside of them.
Yep. always tell myself, man, listen, I just want to say I just want to know that I did the things I wanted to do. Even if I don't do all of them, but listen, I'm gonna walk this out, man. Like for real, I'm gonna walk this out, and I'm gonna help some people, and I'm gonna be coachable. Being coachable is a great thing, and not sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think sometimes this is what I think. This is off top. I think we're overly sensitive. Like when somebody tells you something that you don't want to hear, it's so like I'm so upset. Like you just tell me I wasn't good. Yeah, they did. I mean, you suck right now.
But you have to have that understanding, right? Especially when you're doing something new.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something you have to go into it. Not to say that I think you always struggle with that, right? No matter what you do, especially like what we do. Like we're okay with the fear and all that stuff, but you still question yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And then ask the right questions, I always say, to people and to yourself. If somebody tells me I'm not good now, but I'm not going to say that it was like that. I'll ask them why.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say that? Even if you say I am good, I want to know why. Like, why do you say I'm good?
Yeah.
Feedback is always good. I asked somebody, you got to be ready when you ask, right? You got to be ready. If you ask somebody a question, because I would steer away from that for many years, asking for honest feedback because I was afraid. But I asked somebody not long ago, literally like within 2 weeks ago, and I said, "So what do you think?" And she told me, and it was not what I wanted to hear. And so,
when you said it, I already you said she told me.
Oh, she did. And she'd probably tell me again. But I could have. Now, I've been working alongside of her on a project. And so not long ago, I probably would have avoided, disconnected, disengaged, found a way to back out of this stuff and spiraled down because of what was said. And it really wasn't a very nice thing, but she said it and she was honest, and that's what she believed at the time, right? So and so I get to decide what to do with that. My older self or younger self, I would have probably found a lot of other things to fill up myself with. Instead, now it's continuing to do what I'm doing, continuing to search for, a better quality of life, which includes a better quality, more quality people. And she is too. She's good people. So I get to decide, what am I going to do? And I think making decisions is a wonderful power to include in your life, is you get to make decisions. And a lot of times I don't think I know I wasn't, I can't really speak for others, but you get to make the decisions in your life. You are the decision maker in your life. You get to choose what you want for your life. And I think that's something we don't really get taught. We get told, but really, really taught how to choose. And in that, I believe failures is a part of that, because you are going to sometimes choose things that aren't going to give you is not going to be the best answer. So sometimes there's a good answer and sometimes there's a better answer. So it's just, but you get to choose that, and giving the responsibility, taking the responsibility, to also reminding others that you have the responsibility for your decisions and you get to make those choices.
We're responsible for our own happiness, honestly.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing too. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was just going to say that, I think a lot of people forget how much power they actually have in choice. And, you see that everywhere. A lot of people struggle, even, being on social media and stuff, and being on TikTok, because I've been on TikTok a lot lately, like trying to build up TikTok for myself. And you see a lot of that in people. They struggle with it, and they hold on to a lot of different things because they forget the power of choice. Right. And I think it's building that confidence in making the choice and being aware of the choices that you make every day that's going to allow you to make that change. And a lot of times I think if we're just too held back, and again goes back to failure and everything else, and why we don't do those things and making those choices.
And it's preparation. we're responsible for our own self. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to, whatever comes out of you is usually what's in you. So it's what you put inside of you, right? And I try to have, this is what I try, I try to work on myself so much enough that if the wrong people come around me, it cannot last. Because my energy is it's just not going to meet. I don't mind taking if you tell me something is wrong, but then we have to watch the other people. Some people, they're projecting a lot. Like they feel good when they make you feel bad, or they can't help themselves. They don't know. Some people don't know how to edify people, because edifying is a thing. You have to edify people. Proper relationships and stuff like that. Um, but we're responsible for our own happiness. I tell myself that all the time, because people look for other people to make them happy. And that's horrible.
So good, especially right now with just the comparison of all the media and different things that I mean, it's really difficult to stay focused, especially when there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of opportunities for people, but there's a lot of the same stuff that's happening too. But I like, I was going to say, being prepared, being intentional about your growth plan. John Maxwell talks about it. He talks about having an intentional growth plan. Like if you want to grow, you have to have an intentional growth plan. And so, in order to be, you have to be intentional, right? You can't just, wake up and just, what are you going to do? You have to be intentional about that. And so, yeah, that's part of, that's part of it too. I think I was going to say something else too. Sorry. There's something else too that you had so many things to say. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot in there. Yeah, that's really good.
It's fun. We all do it. Like I saw you try to talk yourself up, talk yourself. Me and Marcus talk about that all the time. Wait. This is lounge. We really lounge. Have you ever been talking and totally forgot what you were going to say?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. I'll try to keep talking and I'll look around a little bit, but yeah, truthfully, just being around great people. Marcus touched on the last podcast. It's like always being on, which that's nobody is really always on, but we just try our best to uplift people, and then sometimes along the way, somebody comes and picks you up. But we're definitely responsible for our own happiness. We shouldn't look up, and then also if we're gonna look at somebody, let's really look at how long. Like, what did they do? Like we talk about basketball, Michael Jordan. I mean, how many shots did he shoot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How long did he stay in the gym? It's one of them things. Like even we look at other influencers, it's like, yeah, some people just popped off, right? But people put in work, man. So if we want to get to those places, we're gonna have to put in the same work. It's one of them things, day in and day out. When you feel like it, when you don't. Because some days, that's why I always say I try to be disciplined, because for me, finding different motivations is a task sometimes. We always have but motivation is too connected to a feeling. And feelings, they just high and low. So I just tell myself every day, that's the plan, preparation. I'm going to do this. Monday, I'm going to do this. Tuesday, I'm going to do this. But I'm going to do it. and then, honestly, every day I don't meet the goal, but I do have a plan. You know what I mean? I'm just not flying in the wind. You have to wake up with a plan. You have to plan it out. Don't just go in the wind all the time. You're just going to blow in the wind, and then you're going to get frustrated. I've done it a lot. It's better with a plan. You feel like and also it's a lot more rewarding too, because you know that you're going somewhere. You're getting closer to, I knock this off. Just like with weight loss and tracking and pictures, we can't look to just one thing to measure our success. We have to have numerous of things to know how far we are and where we came from. But I apologize. I've been drinking. It's the coffee.
It's okay. No, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I keep going back to just the whole being intentional and about planning, and that's it's so good because in in the book The 15 Laws, he talks about that most people plan their vacations, spend like months and months and months planning their vacation, but don't really spend any time planning their life. Yeah,
That's a good one.
and that's what I was going to say earlier.
After that guy Sean just talked so long, you know.
Oh, you brought it back. No, you brought it right back. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering why I didn't get my shirt in the mail.
It's funny. I was thinking that. I was honestly really thinking that Angela would look very good with an Improvement Lounge shirt, only because I'm like, hey, me and Marcus actually talked about it.
Yeah, we've been talking about this. Yeah,
we are gonna get you a shirt. We're gonna get you a shirt.
I'll order a shirt. Just let me know where I need to order it. I'll order a shirt. Those are really nice, actually. I like the color of them.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll talk about like what color do you have?
Well, the one you have, like that's the leader shirt, right? I'm gonna be on the leaders team.
there you go. Most definitely.
I will share you guys.
Well, at this point, we've hit about an hour, so I do want to close this out before it gets too long. But Angela, we really want to thank you for coming on the podcast. Appreciate your insights onto to finding your superpower and all the great information that you've shared with everybody today. Is there any last message you'd like to leave everybody with today?
To remind humans we're all human. Just, be a really good human.
Also, Angela, could you tell people how to find you, like Angela?
So I'm really on Instagram. That's where I live. IG Live with Angela. And I would love to hear from anybody that's listening that wants to come on. I'd love to meet you. So, yep, Instagram daily, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We really appreciate you, Angela. And I'm going to go away with a lot of the things you said, but we really appreciate you having you here and hold us to getting you that shirt because you need it. we'll let happen,
Thank you. I look forward to it. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Angela. And thank you, Sean. Until next time, everybody, have a good one.